Hey, welcome to the pursuit of being a stand-up leader. I'm Jared Whitman with Whitman Media, and I'm here with John Russell of the Business Source. Today's episode, we're going to talk about compensation for employee retention and growth.
Yeah.
John.
Big subject because how much you get paid matters.
Oh, yeah.
And every job that I've ever had, that's always been kind of like the number one thing, isn't it?
I think so.
You know, can I join your company, pay my bills, establish a quality life, save money for the future, pay for my kids' college, cover my insurance, pay for gas, pay for groceries, right?
Live life, basically.
Yeah, I remember one of the best lessons I ever got from my dad was write down for me exactly what your expenses are. Go through them line by line and bring it in. I want to go over it with you.
Yeah.
And then we went over that and he goes, this is your base plan. I'm going to cover your cost of living.
Yeah.
You have to go out and earn the additional amounts for your savings, for your college, for all your fun, for toys, whatever you want. But it was a hard lesson because I've had jobs where the base pay didn't cover my basic expenses.
Right.
How good is that?
Well, to most people, it's so wild that you just brought that up because I was with my father yesterday going over what my budget is and figuring out what I need to make in every month to cover my base living expenses.
Yeah.
So wild that you start off with.
They don't teach you that when you're in grade school.
I think that is so prevalent to young people today to learn the basics of financials.
Yeah.
Like what your expenses are. What if you're able to live below your means? Now we're going down a rabbit hole.
But that's all about compensation.
Yeah, I think
for employee retention and growth.
Yeah, and I would say like in the last 20 years, it was I want to say it was always money focused, and now in the last 3 years, 5 years, we've kind of shifted from maybe money's not the best way to entice employees.
Right.
Maybe it's a time thing or a freedom thing or
benefits
type of thing.
Sure. I mean, that's part of your compensation plan. Yeah. One of the things that I noted in my thoughts when I was preparing for this podcast today is that it's a sensitive subject. Yeah. People don't share stuff even between family and friends. It's kind of like, how much do you make? It's none of your business. Yeah. You know, when I don't think it's that big of a deal, really. But everybody's income is private, except for between you and your boss or HR. Right. So, you know, a lot of business owners will try to hire people for the least amount possible so they can maximize their profits. I've seen that happen. So they have a bunch of drones who work for them, and they do mundane tasks, and they're not part of the cash profitability machine. They're in some other job function. Right. But I've seen other business owners that want to hire the best people they can find.
Build a bench.
And they'll pay the highest rate in the category. And sometimes they'll even go beyond that. Let's just say, for example, I wanted a job and I wanted to make $200,000 a year. And that was a pretty average salary. I know that's pretty high. But if the owner came to me and said, I'm going to pay you $225,000, and my expectation was $200,000, I'd be thinking, this guy's somebody I want to partner with. Right. He sees the value in my employment. Yeah. So that's a pretty good thing.
That's a great word right there, value.
Yeah.
Like when I was selling Cutco cutlery knives, we always talked about the value versus the price. Right. And when the value outweighs the price, well, then it's no brainer. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know where I was going with that, but the value of an employee, a hardworking employee.
It's a cool subject. What is the anticipated value? Yeah. You know, if I buy this, am I going to get what I want out of it? Right. Kind of a thing.
Or could you get more by offering better compensation benefits?
Right. So in the book, page 38, I talk about how a company that underpays employees can actually lead to a bad culture.
I agree.
It can create an impression of poor management, unorganized, doesn't understand the market. So I try to help business owners design a compensation package that takes into consideration employee retention and growth, because turnover doesn't help. And we could talk more about that in a minute, because there's a tremendous cost involved with that. I have my own impression of what it costs, and then I looked it up again today. It's pretty amazing. You know, people join businesses for a variety of reasons. Money's one thing. Leadership and promotional opportunities are the other. Benefits, vacation, compensation, other perks that go along with it. A lot of companies provide health club memberships, community involvement, where you can take a day and go volunteer. But if you want your employees to grow with your company and be more secure in their future, and maybe make a longer commitment to your business, it would behoove you to find out, as a business owner, as a stand-up leader, what is it going to take for me to have Jared stay with me?
Right.
How much is loyalty worth?
Yeah.
And then the cost to replace somebody who's valuable, who leaves your company, to replace a top performer. You lose all the training money that you invested in them. You lose all the relationships that they had. You lose your revenue stream with that individual if they're involved in revenue. Mm-hmm. And then you have the cost of recruitment to find somebody to replace them, the cost of training a new employee, and you're not going to recover the relationships. That's out the window. And you can't put a price tag on it. I'm guessing they say the cost of replacing somebody is 3 years a person's annual salary.
Wow.
I call it more like $250,000.
Yeah.
To me, if you really added up the loss and the investment, you would have saved a ton of money by paying that person a little bit more, getting them to a place where they're comfortable financially. If somebody's insecure in their financial world and they're having trouble paying their bills, you got trouble at home, got trouble with your spouse, got trouble with your kids, unhappiness is going to set in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to carry over into their work.
Yeah.
And they're going to start looking for a new job.
Yep.
The next shiny object that comes by that pays more than what you're paying them now, I could tell you the grass is not greener on the other side of the fence.
Not usually.
I've seen it 100 times.
I was looking at a recent news article about how Disney, the union at Disney, is starting to, or about to strike, because the employees at Disney are paid so low wages. They're living in their cars. They can't.
It's ridiculous.
Even to hear about the prices that Disney has increased for the cost of their parks.
Yeah.
Where is that money going to, if not paying their employees, but lining the pockets of the people above them? It's
so short-sighted to not take care of your people.
I think that when you take care of your people, and you show them appreciation, they will create a larger output than if you just did the status quo.
Yeah. So in my estimation, stand-up leaders understand what their employees' dreams are, what their vision is, and a stand-up leader will help that employee accomplish those personal goals and objectives, because now they're working for a company that understands them, that maybe wants them to be part of the company for more than a short time. The average tenure is like 4 years. The turnover right now in companies is 4 years. It's ridiculous.
We need to get companies to start generating interest in their people. The number one customer of a company is the employee.
I love that.
Number one customer of an employee
100%
is employee.
The first sale you got to make is to the people who are out there in the front line for you.
Yeah.
So the stand-up leader action plan on page 39 is, the compensation problem is employees don't see themselves working for your company because they can't visualize themselves reaching their financial goals. I'm leaving if I can't reach my financial goals.
Or even goals in general, beyond. So here's a question I wrote down. How would you open the door to different compensation packages for different employees. So if a stand-up leader wanted to start creating a different type of compensation package for their employees, what are some of the steps that they should take to get started?
The process that I take my clients through is to do market research on that job description in that category. Find out what the national average is. You can go to a lot of different websites that'll tell you exactly how much people are getting paid for real on the low end and on the high end. And figure out where you want to be on the spectrum, and then go sit down with your employee and map out what we talked about, like you did with your dad, my dad did with me, which is let's jot down let's talk about your expenses. I'm interested in you more than just as an employee. I'm interested in your life. I want to make sure you're successful. Write down what your expenses are and let's make sure we get that covered. And then let's talk about the other things you want to accomplish, and let's talk about how you can reach your goals with my company and our compensation plan. I'll build the compensation plan so that you succeed here and you don't have to worry about going to look for another job across the street. Work with each employee to customize their compensation plan around what you can afford and what helps them reach their financial goals. There'll be people you can't afford.
Right.
But at least you know what the top performers need to make.
Right. You can work your way up to that.
Yeah. So I think it's realistic to involve the employee in some of the conversations. You can't do it with the whole package because it's just not the way it works. But get them involved in the process so you can help them achieve their goals.
Do you think it would be advantageous of a stand-up leader who's running a business to create a tiered opportunity to
as they advance?
The
more performance you bring to the table?
Performance-based
Sure.
compensation.
Sometimes they call them stretch goals, but I like the whole performance-based compensation plan. That's how I've always been paid on commission. Or I got paid for what I did. I am never like getting a weekly every 2 weeks. You get a check, here you go. It's the same amount every week.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. So if you do X, this is the minimum expectations. Here's what your compensation plan is going to be. If you can do X plus Y, here's another level up that I can make sure that you're going to get to earn more money. X plus Y plus Z, there's another level. Pretty soon you're making big money. And then you'll realize that you're with the right company.
Right.
Because culture's good, the leadership stand up, and I'm making a lot of money. Because nobody's going to fault you for that. Nobody's going to come after you when you say, honey, I'm putting a little extra money away for our vacation next year. It's a pretty good setup that way.
What, because I'm kind of going through this process right now with tiering for subcontract, for services and also the people I'm working with as well.
Right.
Like what are some key attributes or what are some things that I could do to figure out what those levels look like?
I would just start by finding out what your prospective employee needs.
Okay.
Let's start with that. All right. Because different people have different needs.
Right.
Not everybody needs to make 7 figures. Some people will come in and say, hey, I'm happy with 20 grand. Well, okay. Let's talk about that. Okay. How does 20 grand cover your expenses? And they're like, hey, I got it all figured out. Great. So what's a lot of money to you? 25 grand?
That's a good question.
30 grand?
That's an interesting.
40 grand?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're going to shortchange somebody because they don't need to make a lot of money.
Right.
But pay them more than they expect. And I know that's difficult. I've had a lot of clients and even people I've worked for who don't care. They're like, this is it. Take it or leave it. And if you're looking for a job and that's the job you want, I'm going to take that job for less money than I need because I love the position and I'm going to want to work my way up. So as a stand-up leader, if you can't show your employee an upside, where are you going to be in the future? I'll give you an example. My daughter, who's very successful, works in Chicago, has a great job, thinking about submitting some resumes to some other companies. And I said, are those companies that you're submitting resumes to going to present a better future for you? She didn't know.
Good question.
I said, well, before you jump ship thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, which it never is,
Right.
find out what the upside is.
Yeah.
I'll go in at a lower level if I know that I can earn way more on my own performance wise because I'm an overachiever.
Yeah. What's your opinion on negotiating a exit strategy or an exit plan or like a
As far as giving people feedback?
no like where am I going with this question? Severance package.
Severance package.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
What's your opinion on negotiating a severance package if you jump ship to a higher paying job or another job?
If you leave on your own accord,
yeah,
there's no severance.
right.
If I have to fire you, then because of cause and it wasn't related to what you'd done, like I'll give Mercury Marine laid off 300 employees a month ago.
Yep.
They're laying off 1,700 people today.
I saw that.
Yeah. Those people are going to get a severance package.
All right. I misinterpreted.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm still a little young.
It's okay. Severance is something I've never gotten because I've never been let go and given severance.
Yeah.
If I left, it's because I quit. And I only quit when things don't go the way I hoped.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
The old adage is if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
I agree with that.
So I try to keep it on the down low. But compensation in general is a pivotal construct of employment. And as a stand-up leader, I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting to know the employee and where they're at and what their expectations are and what their cost of living is and what are their dreams and aspirations. Can you help them create a future of financial security and success? A lot of times the only reason I left the job is because I wasn't getting paid what I was worth.
Right.
Or I wasn't getting paid enough to cover my bills. Yep. And I mean, I'm not a high roller, but at the same time, you got a wife, 2 kids, a dog, a boat, 3 cars, and, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Expenses aren't getting less.
Right.
The cost of living is not going down.
Yeah, it's going up.
The cost of housing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Insurance. My insurance just went up for no reason.
Yeah.
Other than the insurance companies, we had some bad hurricanes down in Florida.
Right.
Well, I live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a hit for those people down there. Yeah. That's the way it works.
I would follow up your last thing that you said with, when you take care of your employees, your employees take care of you and your business.
Absolute loyalty.
Yeah. Yeah. So
people will go the distance for you if you build an opportunity around them.
100%. I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Instead of it being all company centric. Put your employees first. Who's the most important customer?
Employee.
That's right.
Awesome. What a great conversation on compensation. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Pursuit of Being a Stand-Up Leader.
Thanks,
I'm Jared Whitman, and I'm here with John Russell.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next episode.